In the pages of Genesis, there's a mysterious passage that has puzzled scholars for millennia. The Bible speaks of beings called the Nephilim, giants who walked the earth before the great flood. But who were they really? According to Genesis 6, verse 4, these beings were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Ancient texts describe them as mighty warriors of extraordinary size and strength. Archaeological discoveries across the Middle East have unearthed unusually large human remains, leading some to question, could these be evidence of the Nephilim? Yet skeptics point to scientific explanations. Many of these large skeletal remains have been proven to be hoaxes or misidentified fossils. The word Nephilim itself has multiple translations, from giants to simply the fallen ones. So were the Nephilim real giants who once roamed the earth, or are they powerful metaphors in ancient religious texts? The debate continues as we balance faith, history, and science in our quest to understand these mysterious beings of biblical lore. Were the giants of Noah's time truly the offspring of fallen angels and the daughters of men? There are many theories of the origins of these giants of old that are mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. These were mighty men of old, men of renown. The word used to replace the word giants in many modern-day translations of the Bible is the word Nephilim, which is actually derived from the Hebrew word naphlu. The Hebrew word Nephilim means giants. Some understand it to mean the fallen ones, but this is a misunderstanding of the Hebrew. The origins of this word, Nephilim, and its meaning has been disputed since the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the year 1947. Among these many scrolls were found the Book of Enoch. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, was taken by God at the age of 350 years old, possibly hundreds of years before the Great Flood. It is believed that the Book of Enoch was written about the 3rd of 2nd century BCE. There are 3 books that are traditionally attributed to Enoch, including 2nd Enoch and 3rd Enoch. None of these 3 writings are considered to be canonical scriptures, meaning that they were not included in the 66 books of the Bible. Even though these mystical Jewish writings may be fascinating to the reader, there is no proof of their true authenticity. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 of the Amplified Bible, the Nephilim are described as men of great reputation and fame, not the evil offspring of fallen angel as described in the pseudo-writings of Enoch. The King James Version Bible is said to be the most accurate translation from the original Hebrew text. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 of the King James Version Bible does not use the word Nephilim in its translation, nor the words evil beings. The Living Bible replaces the sons of God with evil beings. The sons of God are not demonic beings that are defiled with the filth of their iniquities. They are the angelic beings who dwell in the presence of God. These sons of God are mentioned in Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Also, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, of the Beatitudes Jesus speaks of the sons of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. If we, as Christians, are to be called sons of God, this would mean that the sons of God mentioned in chapter 6, verse 4 of the King James Version Bible is speaking of the celestial sons of God, the angels, meaning that the Nephilim were not spawned from evil or demonic beings, but were men of renown and the heroes of old. Not evil creatures that roamed the earth devouring men. In the time of Noah, the union of celestial beings and terrestrial beings produced offspring that may have stood twice the height of an average man. It's believed that an average height of a man stood about 5 foot 5 inches tall, both before and after the Great Flood, meaning that these giants of old may have reached heights of 9 feet or more. To try to understand why the offspring of this union between angels and daughters of men produced such great men of stature, we can look towards the hybrids of the animal kingdom. When crossbreeding a horse and donkey, they produces a mule. The mule is the offspring of a male donkey and a female horse. The horse and the donkey are different species, with different numbers of chromosomes. This hybrid is easier to obtain. They are more patient, hardier working, and live longer than horses, and are perceived as less obstinate and more intelligent than donkeys. However, this hybrid is unable to reproduce off offspring. Another example of a hybrid in the animal kingdom is the liger. When crossbreeding a male lion with a female tiger, they produce an offspring that can weigh up to 900 pounds. Although they rarely meet in the wild, lions and tigers are still so closely related that they are able to interbreed, and in captivity they occasionally do. But successful interbreeding is the key, and the hybrid offspring are usually sterile and short-lived. In the wild, when a lion and lioness mate, the female lion has a gene that controls the growth of their offspring. The female tiger lacks this gene and produces a giant offspring. Did the daughters of men lack a similar gene as the female tiger that controls growth hormones, or was it the structure or missing chromosomes, their DNA? Even though there is no scientific proof that lacking genes or chromosomes could be the reason that these daughters of men produced offspring of such gigantic stature, but this may be a plausible explanation. Many believe that the Nephilim corrupted the earth because evil spirits went into the daughters of men, and this is why God sent the floodwaters. Genesis chapter 6 verses 5 through 8 tell us that the wickedness of men is why the Lord sent the floodwaters on the earth. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Man had grown more corrupt on the earth, as the iniquities and sins of Adam were passed down through his lineage from generation to generation. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me. It was the iniquities of men that brought the floodwaters on the earth. If the Nephilim were truly the hybrid offspring of the sons of God, this would mean that their children would be conceived with a pure heart. For iniquity does not reign in the angels of the heavenly realm. This is why they were called the mighty men of old, heroes of men and men of renown. It is possible that by the time of the flood, the Nephilim had also fell to corruption, sharing in the iniquities and sins of men. Did the giants survive the flood of Noah? Noah gives us a very accurate timeline of the flood in Genesis 7:11 through 12 and 17 through 2. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered, and all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. According to Noah's biblical records of the flood, the foundations of the earth were broken up, and rain fell on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. All flesh died on the earth. Before the great flood, the earth was whole, meaning that the 7 continents were once one great continent called Pangaea. It's believed that when the foundations of the deep were broken up, Pangaea was broken up into the 7 pieces, or sections, that formed the 7 continents of today. This may have caused floodwater to cover the earth's surface, to assure that every living creature on the earth would perish. According to the biblical records, the giants could not have survived the flood, meaning that these post-flood giants are not the descendants of the Nephilim. Of all the giants, Goliath, a champion of the Philistines, is the most infamous, although the Bible never uses the term Nephilim to describe him. Goliath challenged the armies of Israel, and only David was brave enough to challenge him in battle. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, it's recorded that Goliath's height was 6 cubits and a span. A cubit is measure believed to be 18 inches, and a span 9 inches. If these measures are correct, Goliath's height would have been 9 feet, or 9 inches tall. According to the ancient scripture, a cubit measure may have been less than 18 inches, and a span was less than 9 inches. Goliath's height may have been closer to 6'6" to 7 feet, not 9 feet 9 inches. It's recorded in 1 Samuel chapter 17 that Goliath was from Gath. In Joshua chapter 11 verse 22, we learn that the descendants of Gath were descendants of Anakim. This means that Goliath was a descendant of a race of giants. His heritage can be traced back to Anakim, and not the Nephilim. Another well-known giant of the Bible was Og, king of Bashan, believed to be the descendant of Rephaim, and another race of giants were the Emim. None of these races of giant can be traced back to the Nephilim. Saul, the Benjamite, was chosen to be the first king of Israel. He was said to be very handsome and stood a head taller than any of the people. His height was probably 6 feet or taller. If the average man in ancient times stood between 5 to 5'5", I would guess that some may have considered King Saul a giant man in stature. Is there archaeological evidence for giants? Most of the archaeological finds concerning the Nephilim, or giant people, were found to be false. Photos taken at these digs were found to be doctored. None of these claims of giant skeletal remains were ever documented or proven. This doesn't mean that the Nephilim did not exist in the time of Noah.
Are there giants on the earth today? Today, the average height for American men is 5 feet, 9 inches. That's slightly above the global average height for males, which is 5 feet, 7.5 inches. Compared to our ancient ancestors who averaged 5 feet 5 inches, man has only increased in height by 4 inches. Robert Wadlow gained international fame as the tallest man in the world, and 80 years after his death, he remains a household name. Wadlow, who died at age 22 in 1940 from complications of a foot infection, reached the remarkable height of 8 feet and 11.1 inches, still a Guinness World Record holder for the tallest man. One of the most famous giants of our time was pro wrestler Andrei Rene Roussimoff, better known to us as Andre the Giant. Andre stood at 7 feet 4 inches tall and weighed in at 520 pounds. He was also dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. One of the primary reasons behind Andre the Giant's extraordinary size was a medical condition known as acromegaly. Acromegaly is a rare hormonal disorder that occurs when the pituitary gland produces excessive amounts of growth hormone after the growth plates have closed during puberty. This disease is also known as gigantism. On the date of January 28, 1993, Andre passed at the age of 46, and still to this day his name is well known in the world of wrestling. There are many giants in the world of sports, especially in the NBA entering the 2023-24 season. The average height for an NBA player is 6 foot to 6 foot 6 inches. There are 38 players on active rosters who are 7 feet or taller, according to NBA. One of most popular NBA players was Shaquille O'Neal, known commonly as Shaq, is a former professional basketball player. Shaq stood 7 feet 1 inch tall and wore a size 22 sneaker. The Tamara family is well known for their TikTok and Instagram short videos. Maria Tamara is 7 feet tall and the shortest of her and siblings. Only 1% of the United States population stand 6 foot 6 inches or taller. While it may not be considered abnormally tall, it is certainly an uncommon height and can often be described as very tall and not considered gigantic. Although the height of the hybrid offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men are not recorded in the Bible, we know that such a union can produce children of great stature, maybe even exceeding heights of over 9 feet tall. These spiritual human hybrid giants were called men of honor and men of renown in Genesis chapter 6. The post-flood giants that are recorded in the Bible, such as the Amites, the Ammonites, and the Rephaim, were said to be of great stature. Goliath, a descendant of Anakim, and Og, king of Bashan, were both infamous figures in the Bible, possibly standing heights of 7 or more feet tall, from the time of Noah to King David. And in our present day, people of tall stature walk among us. Professional athletes, and in the midst everyday people.